Us trail riders have been begging for this type of option for years, if not decades. Something that's like the Beta Xtrainer, but in a 4-stroke engine. I'm gonna quickly cover 7 specs that I would like to see, and then you can let me know if you'd like to see the same or not. So the first one is the engine. I prefer a 4-stroke air-cooled engine, just because it's simpler and they can make enough power for a casual trail rider, even someone experienced. Although if it's simple and reliable, then liquid cooled would be fine. However, it needs to have good low-end torque and a smooth power curve. The problem with modern trail bikes, at least 4-strokes, like the YZ250FX or even the WR250F, they have plenty of horsepower, but that low-end torque right off of idle is just terrible these days. Everyone's looking for the most horsepower, but for me, that's not where I ride. I like to lug it at low RPM and have a really smooth power curve. So yeah, having a lot of horsepower is nice, but I like that straight torque curve. So torque right off of idle, good mid-range torque, with decent top-end power. So I don't need 45 horsepower on a 250. 30 horsepower is plenty, as long as it has good off-idle torque, so I can chug it down really low and ride a gear higher. The closest engine that I can think of that would be near to this is the Honda CRF 250X engine. It's discontinued, but that engine has pretty decent low-end torque. If they could just tune it a little bit better for that, Honda already has a platform for it, or at least a good starting point. Spec number 2 is the weight. It needs to be under 250 pounds wet. The problem with these beginner-friendly air-cooled engines like the CRF 300 now is they keep getting heavier and heavier. And I know it's to keep the price down. They're using cheaper components, or I should say heavier components to keep the price down. They end up being 270, 280 pounds, which for a bigger rider is not that big of a deal, but for someone like me who is 145 pounds, that gets to be a little bit too much in the technical riding situation. So under 250 pounds wet, meaning all the fluids, all the gas, oil, everything you need ready to ride. Spec number 3 is a lower seat height, one that's around 34, 35 inches max. If you're a tall rider, yeah, you may not want this, maybe you need a taller option, but for us shorter riders or someone that wants a lower seat height, it's a lot easier to build confidence on one that you can easily reach the ground with at least 1 foot. So like the Beta Xtrainer has a smaller chassis, having a lower seat height around that 35 inches. Spec number 4 is the suspension. It needs to have better suspension than the outdated conventional style right side up forks that like the CRF 250 or 300F has, or the TTR 230. They're decent, but they're pretty harsh. They're not adjustable. So having some Xtrainer type forks and shocks that have the more modern upside down forks with adjustable compression and rebound with better valving, it doesn't need to be stiff. I don't want it stiff like the race bikes, the YZ250FX. That's too harsh for technical low-speed trail riding, 5, 10, 15 miles an hour. I want it plush with adjustability and decent bottoming resistance. And if you have to sacrifice a couple inches of travel, that's fine. I don't need 12 inches of travel riding off-road at 10 miles an hour. 10 inches is plenty for 98% of the trail riding I do. Spec number 5 is electric start. Some people, you might not agree with me, you might like the old-fashioned kickstart, but I like electric start. I don't mind kickstart, but it's just nice to have that button when you're on the side of a really steep hill and it's really hard to kickstart your bike. Spec number 6 is fuel injection. With 4 strokes, the fuel injection is really good these days, and since it compensates for riding at different elevations, which I do sometimes, going from like 1,000 to 9,000 foot elevation, not having to change a jet is really nice. Bonus is having Wi-Fi adjustability, like the Yamaha Power Tuner app, I believe. Just doing it on your phone, that would be really nice. Not having to spend 500 or $1,000 on an aftermarket ECU. Even if you can't change everything on it, having some adjustability to tune the power curve a little bit would be really nice. And spec number 7 is the price. It's gotta be under $8,000. Because I know the CRF 300F is $5,000. You can't make this type of bike for $5 grand these days. But it also shouldn't cost 10 or 12 grand. It should be somewhere in between. So under 8 grand, I think someone can make it like this. I think there's a big enough market for it. So The first one to do it, I believe, is going to have a winner. There's a market out there. It may not be as big as the entry-level bikes, but I think they can sell thousands of them. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you like this bike that I've spec'd out, or would you change something on it? I'm Kelly Fager from MX Hideout. Ride safe, have fun.